Yeah, buddy, top of the top, and it won't stop. You dig? So I generally don't delve into urban gossip and that kind of thing. That's really for small minds. Okay, I never really subscribed to that kind of thing. It's a lot of foolishness and a lot of cap too. But nevertheless, this particular story I found very interesting in terms of just the dynamics of today's relationships and how people tend to overinflate their value. Okay, a particular demographic, to be specific. So you got the Klay Thompson situation. All right. Now let's set this up right. Let's set this up correct. He's an athlete. Am I correct? Athletes from the time I was in high school, and I've been around and grew up around guys that ended up in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out. If you know, you know. Constantly on ESPN, have done great things. So I've watched the game, if you will, from a front row seat perspective. This is before they even hit the pros. Okay, so a lot of the highfalutin chicks and the fine chicks, they either went with the dope dealers or the athletes. Okay, I'm an LA dude. We're not gonna sugarcoat nothing over here. We don't do that here. So, with that being said, the stage is already set, right? Now, by the time you get to college, okay, good old college, they on you, especially if you're one of the star players. The game is literally in your hands. There is no, I have to get up out of the seat and I have to chase her and woo her, that kind of thing. That's not happening, Some were even pulling the teachers. It's another subject story for another day, another subject for another day. You know what I'm saying? But with that being said, a man's monetary value is earned early in terms of what he can attract in terms of resources and so forth. Because if he's on the school, if he's one of the stars on the school team, even if he ain't the star, he's just playing on the team, but he's playing with a winning team. It's bringing the school prestige. It's bringing the school newspaper, clout, because they get to interview these individuals directly. They followed their career, and I'm talking about from a high school standpoint. College, you already know what it is. He Got Game, the movie He Got Game, one of my favorite movies, by the way. One of my favorite Spike Lee movies, covers a lot of that. Okay, so fast forward, Klay Thompson, he's in the pros. And you got people who are what they hold chess, getting on these platforms. They need to ban people who didn't take communications classes or broadcasting classes or grammar classes from having a mic and getting on podcasts, because y'all just be saying anything. You do no research. You don't know anything about the topic you're talking about. See, for me, I've always been the type, whatever I talk about, I can get on the phone and verify. I'm the one phone call away dude. And if I don't know the person, I know somebody that know them. and can get a quick confirmation just like that. But that's me. You're not me. You know? So I be laughing when I see a lot of these little podcasts, you know. But anyhow, fast forward, I digress. Klay Thompson is doing what most high value men do, okay? You know, the thing about it is, for a guy like that, you pretty much have to compete, you know, because he's in the top brass. You know, he's not, you know, just on the team. He's one of the star players in his field. So, with that, there's women all, listen, and I know people, you know, are fans of the lady, and I'm being generous. But he was kind of like, he really downgraded his situation, to be honest with you. You know, because if you go back and look at his past roster, absolute perfection. First of all, they pulled up a top 50. I said, my man. Okay, so when he came to this situation, it was just like, all right, you know, whatever floats your boat. But this dude is used to 10s. So when a man is accustomed to having 10s, you're just a 6.5 or a 7 or 5 at best, you know, trying to find your way in that situation. Okay, so there, you know, and I hear people say, "Oh, he fumbled her." Listen, and I can speak for myself because I've been in this situation where people see one thing, but they don't understand the reality of what goes on. Okay, in that relationship. No man of value fumbles anybody. He politely and gracefully moves on. Okay, because he realized that is not his taste. Okay, especially when he knows his value and what he's attracted in the past. Again, that man had 10s. So we're not gonna sit up here and play games. Okay. I was like, my man, I saw them. I was like, okay. So when y'all saw him on that boat playing Levert Casanova, getting into his brother's side, okay, I didn't expect that. That wasn't on my prediction card, you know, but he did it. No man fumbles a woman. Now, if it's somebody that has been down with you from day one, where nobody wanted to deal with you, and she was a part of your journey, that's different. She's special. But if she's somebody that just came along in your journey, see, as men, we got to separate the women that come along in our journey versus the ones that have been down from the beginning and stayed down, all right, and didn't wait for the cameras and the lights and the money. If you lose that one, that's a real fumble. You know what I'm saying? But the ones that just came around and got track records and, you know, and they'll tell you, I got another ninja on my line. Whoa. And it's like, all right, I'm going to remember that. I've had that been told to me. I'm like, all right, I see you. We gonna pay attention to what you're saying. I got you. We gonna see how that play out, right? Because while I'm grinding, and we're not gonna talk about me. We're gonna go back to Klay. You know, while we're grinding, getting our thing together, or tightening up everything, them same weak ass ninjas are knocking on your door. You know, so the game is the game, and you got to respect it for what it is. You know, Klay understands his value, and you know, it was a moment. You got to take things for what they are. No man can fumble a woman, you know, unless she was a day one. Day one's off limits. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, if he was already that dude and he already is high profile, you got to compete. And the game is the game, and I'm out of here.